Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Who HQ Book Club, where we are on episode 2 of Who Was Blackbeard. Alright, so yesterday we ended with scurvy, so here we go. Do you remember? How do you avoid scurvy? Eat fruits and vegetables, especially lemons and limes keep scurvy away. So, anyway. Pirates and privateers had homes on land, but they rarely visited them. Their ships became their homes, and they only went ashore as often as they needed to for supplies or rest. Some were married, but most did not want a family to limit their freedom. Life on any sailing ship in the early 1700s was not easy. The men had to sleep on deck or in hammocks hung in cramped quarters. They were often wet and cold. There was little room for storage, so each man could carry only a few possessions and very few changes of clothes. Fresh water was scarce, so they rarely bathed. They worked hard hauling ropes and carrying the heavy gear needed to sail the ship. Though pirates have become famous for looting treasure, most of what they stole was not very exciting. They did take gold, silver, and coins if they found them, but more often their prize was food, new sails for their ship, or the cargo that ships were carrying back and forth to the New World. Their goal was to then sell the cargo, such as cloth, sugar, or rum, for a profit. That means they wanted to make money off of it. Benjamin Hornigold was in charge of several such pirate ships. Like many pirates, Hornigold had been an English privateer during Queen Anne's War. Afterward, he and his pirate crews made their base on the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. With Hornigold and other pirate captains acting as governors, the island became a safe place for pirates to anchor between raids. New Providence had been part of an English colony until the pirates took control of it. Hornigold was a very successful pirate. It is estimated that in 1715 alone, he and his group of ships captured treasure worth 60,000 British pounds. That's about $12 million in today's money. Edward Teach became one of Hornigold's top officers. By the end of 1716, he was in command of his own small ship. A year later, Edward would leave Hornigold behind and strike out on his own. Chapter 3, Captain. In the fall of 1717, Edward got a chance to move up in the pirate ranks. He and Hornigold met a man named Stede Bonnet. Bonnet was actually an English gentleman, not a rough-and-tumble sailor. He had owned land on the Caribbean island of Barbados, where he grew sugarcane and had a family. He chose to leave that life behind, however, and became a pirate. Even though he had never been a sailor, he built a ship, found a crew, and headed toward the coast of the American colonies in search of ships to plunder. Bonnet's pirating went well at first. He captured 4 ships in his first weeks as a pirate captain. When pirates captured a ship, they did one of 3 things. If they thought they could use the ship and add it to their pirate fleet, they kept it, usually after setting the people on the ship adrift in small boats. Then, they moved a pirate crew aboard to run the ship. They sometimes just stole everything from the ship, including the passengers' possessions, and let it continue its journey. If they did not want the ship and they wanted to send a message to beware, they burned it. Most pirates let any passengers and sailors escape first, but a few simply killed them. Though Bonnet had captured a few ships, he was not a great sailor. So, Hornigold took control of Bonnet's ship, the Revenge. He then made Edward Teach captain of the Revenge. Bonnet remained on board, but only as an assistant to his new captain. The Revenge carried 12 large cannons and had 150 sailors on her crew. In the fall, Edward left Hornigold behind and struck out on his own, taking the Revenge for himself. He headed north to find ships entering the big ports of the American colonies. Near Virginia, the Revenge stalked and captured a sloop called the Betty and stole all the wine that the ship was carrying. After putting the passengers into lifeboats, the crew sank the Betty. For the next several weeks, heading north along the Virginia and New Jersey coasts, Teach and the Revenge robbed ship after ship. They stole wheat, wine, sails, ropes for rigging their ships, barrels of meat, and other supplies. Many captains brought reports of a frightening pirate crew back to the colonial cities along the coast. Teach's reputation as a villain was growing. In November 1717, the Boston News Letter published news from Philadelphia. Arrived Captain Codd from Liverpool and Dublin. He was taken 12 days since off our cape by a pirate sloop called Revenge. Of 12 guns, 150 men commanded by one Teach. In the fall, Teach turned south toward warmer weather in the Caribbean Sea, in search of new ships to rob. One of the last ships that Teach captured in 1717 was the Margaret. Teach and his men found this merchant ship near the island of Antigua, in early December. They captured Margaret's crew and held them hostage. They stole the cattle and pigs that the Margaret was carrying, along with all the books and sailing instruments owned by the captain, Henry Bostock. Bostock and his crew were eventually released, and they sailed home with a frightening tale. Bostock told British officials what had happened. He had spent several hours with Teach and gave the first description of this now successful pirate. The captain, so this is what Bostock said, the captain was a tall, spare man with a very black beard, which he wore very long. That captain, perhaps born Edward Teach and maybe from Bristol, had become known as the dreaded pirate Blackbeard. Dun dun dun. Okay, that's where we'll stop for today. We will pick up tomorrow with Queen Anne's Revenge. Until then, bye.